It's a lovely Thursday evening, and good evening to everybody that is tuned in to Ubuntu channel. Now, this is Pansaka, and today we are doing things differently. How are we doing differently? Obviously, you can see from the time, instead of starting it at 21 hours, we have started it at 2040. And of course, another great thing that you should be excited about is that today it's an open discussion. All right, so as quickly as we have started now, we have shared the link into the comments box. You want to join us into the studio? Join us. You are welcome. You are free as we get to discuss something pertinent and something very important. I am your host, Lance Sani Banda, and to help me co-host this evening, I have Himba. Himba, good evening. How are you doing today?
Good evening, Lance. Good evening, viewers. Lance, I'm fine.
Good to see you.
It's nice to see you too.
You've been missing in action.
Uh, a little bit busy with personal duties somewhere else, but here we are.
Okay.
What is important is we are here. Pansak.
Definitely. All right. So, to our viewers, this is not the only different thing that we are doing today, but we have a full packed panel, and it consists of females. Yeah, this is great. There is gender equality today, or we are gender sensitive. And of course, let me get to introduce our first guest. I'm talking about Aunty Mutinta. Aunty Mutinta, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, listeners. Thank you so much for having me on the program.
All right. Thank you so much for coming through as well. Let's get to have another wonderful guest that we have on the program again. Oh, let me get to introduce her and then she'll be able to join us when she manages. I am talking about Tazza, and of course, it's great to have her on the program. Looking forward to having a great deliberation. Now, today we are discussing child sexual abuse. We are talking about sodomy, defilement. What if it happens to your child? All right, how can you tell that your child is being abused, or this child is getting abuse from either the father or the mother? Be part of the program as simply as now, as quickly as now. You can get to comment, leave a comment in the comment section. Join us live as you click on that link which we have shared with you. Tazza, good evening and good to have you back on the program. Tazza, are you there? All right. Seems like we have some internet issues or challenges with Tazza, but hopefully it will be dealt with, or should I say, our technical team will deal with it, and she will be back with us. Um, I would like to start, since it's an open discussion. I would like to start with you, Aunty Mutinta. We are talking about child abuse in a family or in the house. How do we get to tell this child sexual abuse? How do you get to tell that the child is being abused sexually, either by the mother, by the father, auntie, uncle, or any member of the family?
Thank you very much for that question. Child abuse is one of the most difficult things to detect, simply because the abuse is usually done by persons who the child trusts. Children are very trusting, and the perpetrators of these crimes, they make sure that they win the confidence of the child, and the child begins to trust them. It is only after they have created that trust with the child that they then now start to, I'll call it, they now start to pounce on the child, in the sense that they start to initiate them into what they are going to do. This is usually done maybe by talking to them about how nice things are, or actually giving them some sweets or some biscuits and telling them that, this is the reward for what they are doing. So you find that the child will move from a state where they are trusting and they find themselves in this situation, where they are not sure this is somebody they trust. Yes, he's doing something that maybe they have heard that it is bad, but because this person is somebody they trust, and because maybe he's threatening them, or he's telling them he's going to give them some gifts or some more things that they like, they are not, they are caught up in a conflict. They don't really know what to do. So it is a very difficult thing, especially for a child. And unfortunately, as parents, in these economic situations that we find ourselves, we tend to concentrate so much on work, and we do not pay that much attention to the children. We tend to leave them. We tend to leave them with the maid or whoever is at home. So that then becomes difficult. So depending on the age of the child, I think if the child is maybe 5 years or less, as a mother, it is important that you create that rapport with the child, to invite them to talk to them freely, or they should be able to talk to you freely about the things that have happened during the day. Because once you create that rapport with them, they will tell you that, oh, when you were at work, this person touched me here. Or when you were at work, this is what happened. But when we are so busy with our lives that we don't make that space to chat with the children, you'll find that that item or that issue will go underneath. The other thing that we can do as women, of course, is to ensure that you birth the child. Because in birthing the child, whether it's a girl child or a boy child, you will notice certain things about the child, or the child will flinch. When you touch certain areas, there will be some pain. The child is going to flinch. And that's one way you can know that there is something that is amiss. Another way, of course, is that the child will cry when you are leaving home to go for work, or when you are leaving the child with that particular person. The child will tend to be very unhappy, or the child will be crying. That is also a signal that you need to investigate what is actually happening. And sometimes you find that a child who was actually very playful, very happy, is suddenly withdrawn. Suddenly doesn't want to play, doesn't want to eat. All those are signs that something could be wrong and you need to investigate further.
All right, thank you very much, Aunty Mutinta. And just a reminder, or maybe an emphasis to our panelists. Please do not wait until I call you out. If you feel you want to add something to what your fellow panelist has said, quickly come in and add your comment or express a view. As well as to you, our dear viewers, we ask that may you come through into the studio, as we have shared with you the studio link. But as you come in, make sure that you switch on your camera as well as your mic, so that we can have a better discussion, a better deliberation as we talk about this issue, which is of greater importance. We are discussing child sexual abuse in a house, whether by the parents or by the extended family. Himba, I would like to hear your take on this one.
Thank you so much, Lance. Before I go any further, I would love to describe the people we are talking about here when we say a child. We are literally talking about somebody who is emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially still growing, which means they are not yet fully developed in all angles, all aspects of life. These are people who literally depend on their guardian, the carers, is it a maid? They depend on the adults, or they depend on another human being for their survival in all aspects of their lives. So ababana tubeerandapo baayikyaba kwe bati fiance, as Aunty Mutinta has said, kwe bati balachetekela, you know what I mean. They trust, and I also want to make it clear that most of the people who are abusers kubana bantu twikala nabo. It's very rare where you're going to find that a stranger abuses a child. Yes, the situations but most of the times these cases and it's the people whom these children know very well. They've built a relationship with them and they trust them. These are the people who are literally abusers to our children. And that's why we are actually saying it should start. The parents, their eyes should be literally very open. I'll come back, Lance, again.
Right. Thank you so much, Himba, for that wonderful input. Now, let me come back to you, Aunty Mutinta. What do you think causes the child or causes these parents to want to have an appetite pali mwana ozibalira weka iwe wambo nkalapo na appetite kuti wambo osonjerera kumererapo na mata kuti aha oyeve mfunika mpaka. What do you think causes that? Is it because maybe amai bake or atate bake bapeseka swachita mwambo omwe bafunko chita, therefore baona mga pali popumulira?
That question is a difficult question to answer, because you'd really need to look at the defilement cases on a one-on-one basis. A rational man will not abuse his own daughter, because that is flesh of his flesh. And so when we look at these men, we have to really analyze them to try and understand their thinking. There's one person I used to work with. He used to say, Aunty Mutinta, ingati vinyama vamusanga viziva kuti aka ni kangono aka siniye nono chita nakoso. Why is it that isete bantu timazichita zomwezi? So you find that in nature, when you look at the animal kingdom, the animal kingdom is very much aware that this is the right age to have sex. But when it comes to the human being, they are actually even going lower than the right age. And so you start to wonder whether it has to do with the way that they are thinking for them to undertake such acts. So you need to analyze it in a case-by-case issue. You might say that for some of them, we hear that there are issues of witchcraft, of using that as a means to gain wealth. There are also issues, of course, we have heard that the mother has gone away and this man has remained with the daughter, and they then start to defile their daughter. So for me, I think it's something that would need to really look at to analyze what could actually be happening, because as I've said, a rational man would not do that to his own biological daughter.
Right. Thank you so much, Aunty Mutinta, for that answer. We still seem to be facing challenges with our other guest, Tazza, but be rest assured that we are doing everything possible to have her through so that we can also get to hear what she has, what her take or what she has to say about this particular topic that we are discussing. And just an emphasis to our viewers, we have shared with you the studio link. Come through, join us into the studio. Let's discuss inkani yamene takuleterani tenti kambepo kapena tenti kepo ma voices yatu ngati kulibena vanachitako experience mwina experience munapitamo tiuze nkoni kuti awe ine napitamo koma vetina chitapo vokonkapo venze vaso naso iyi ni nkhani yayikulu, iyi ni nkhani yomwe ifunika kuti bonse ma parents vaikepo ndemanga okapena vaponyepo nkhani nawonso vakambeko pali zinthu zochitika especially pali child sexual abuse okapena kuyanganira mwana kuti ankhale manje ndiye popumulira okapena ndiye pochita zinthu zamene siziyenekera kuchitika. We have shared the link. Join us into the studio. Let's discuss this. Let's have a great program by discussing. Remember, this is an open discussion for today, and we would like to get as many of you as possible to share your views and your concerns. And of course, as you can see from our message box, we already have Lawrence that has come through. He says there is just no excuse for defiling a child. No. Thank you, Lawrence. We really appreciate. Naye mwe mungasiye so chabe message tizaverenga ndiponso tizamvera bwino tikaona kuti mu taking a part pali i program. Let me get to you, Himba. The question that I asked Aunty Mutinta before when you went out, I asked her ni chichani chamene chilengesa kuti maparents vaziyambolanganira pali mwana kuti okay apa ndiye popumulira. Is it because maybe azimayo azibambo mu nyumba swagwira ntchito yawo o batana azimuna bawo batana bazikazi bawo therefore balangana kuti nje maybe mwana chabe ndi asandantiza? What
Lance, let me put it on record. There is no excuse for child defilement. There is no excuse for involving a child in these sodomy situations. Takwa akave pesho akakasuminisha atibai weka omwana. Taka akaveko. A child is a child, period. And allow a child to be a child. You know? So what causes tukila kubana? You know, sometimes me I even call such people to be wicked. If you are really stranded, there are people who sell sex on the street. So nishteti vele feri mbipad saba bapadia papa mozi pa break point kutibayashta. There are people who sell voluntarily. Why should you take advantage of this little child who is very innocent, who doesn't even understand whatever you're doing to them? If anything, in Mbona, I could describe these men and women who take advantage, because na wazimai baliko ko baba na mayo abe kata abana. So I call these human beings to be animals. They are not even allowed to. I don't think they've got the right. We have the right to call them human beings. You know, tutontonga pofye we mukulu waya ipatikisha mumu aiche. Tontonga nyomu aiche dintuale la the pain this child is going through. And you are enjoying, you are getting satisfactory. So for me, Lance, one, these are agreed. Two, buloshi, not defensive about it. You are just a witch. You are actually a disgrace to society. And worse, temwa ukulala abana babo, your own child, biological child. And do you know how much trauma they cause? It's a lifetime trauma which they cause into these children. And again, ababana, the moment imwe mwaya chita fia mfualo pabaye, mwaya fule fia mfualo kumwana, mwaya mulange feta fila ama research, mwatampo kitama research kubana. You know, you've changed their lives. Life ya utaya kawepo same foot, you've literally changed that child's life. So for me, there's no excuse. Or I'm going to say, these are witches and evil people who do such a thing. If you've done it, know yourself that me, I call you that you're a witch.
All right. Lawrence, I would like you to come in on this one. We have been to the local courts, but before engaging you, Raima says truth. Okay, director, if we can have that. All right, so Raima says truth is, as a normal human being, you can't defile your own child unless ufuna kupanda. All right, thank you so much, Raima, for that. Lawrence.
Well, unapanda kari.
So I had the unfortunate opportunity, I'm going to call it unfortunate opportunity. We were having this child counseling course. And at the end of it, part of the technique of child counseling, you give them some, we used to call it plasticine, but now we make it, they're playing clay, right? So this lady, she's actually a nurse from the Copper Belt. She was about 24, 25 years old. She made this doll, and this doll had a lot of long hair. So after we made all those various things, you had to explain why you made that boy and what it reminded you of in your childhood. And here was this girl, 24, 25, very beautiful young girl with a wig. And she was explaining to us that from the time that she was 8 years old, her father used to defile her. And then he would always give her money and tell her, go and do your hair. And so she grew up like that. And when she got into secondary school, the father even started giving her the household maintenance money. And she was saying it very calmly, like she was talking about going to school, like it was a very normal thing. And all of us in that workshop, we all went quiet. We didn't know how to respond to it. And the only thing is, one of the facilitators asked her to say, is your father alive? She said, yes. Is your mother alive? Yes. Do you have a boyfriend? She said, no. So you can imagine, here's this girl from age 8. And this man has been sleeping with her until she's now 24, 25, paying for her expenses, all of them as if she's a wife. And there she was accepting it as if it is a very normal thing. All of us were shocked. We didn't know what to say. And we're not talking about Joyce Meyer, who talks about it openly on the stage. We're talking about a situation here in Zambia on the Copper Belt.
And Aunty Mutinta, just to add on, these victims of sexual abuse, they actually start them at a tender age.
Yes, they do.
Tender age. So apparently, this victim will start seeing it that it's a normal thing. They will accept it, because these criminals who abuses young people, whether female or male, to be the criminals, they are witches. I mean, I've got no kind words for them. What they do, they come up with apparently, as we said, they'll be very nice. Bakula mwali bachetekela, mwali batrasta limbi ba garden boy limbi ba yama babo. You trust this person, ba anti ba kwebale so balo mfwana, can she? And then they start creating utuma stories like banzako wonse bama bachita so. Usaka uze uli wonse, I'll do this. So apparently, since this child is vulnerable and their mind has not really developed to analyze issues or to sense danger, there is a child who was even narrating a story to the friends at and this is how these criminals behave towards the innocent souls, you see. So literally they make it sound normal to the victim, and the victim will accept and think it's a normal way of living, because these are little children who are not yet, exposed, and they don't even know the dangers, and they can't even know that what is, they can't tell ichibine suma nichisa.
Well, that's very sad. These are sad ordeals that happen, unfortunately. Hopefully we have Tazza now. Tazza, hi, are you here? All right, internet challenges continues right there. But Lawrence, I would like you to come in this way. Like we have heard and seen, especially my court, my local court, where timvera kuti yai atate vapasana confession yai chifukwa amai vake venzonitana, that's why ine naona muli mwana. venangu ati yai ninamwafoku mwakumwa, then different excuses that come through for defiling or having carnal knowledge of a young girl or of sodomizing a young boy at a very tender age. Nish abantu ningakutira nje kanomo mulibe o nivichani vevi machitika kanji. Maybe let's get it from a man's point of view.
Kana tripa.
There is good evening first and foremost to everyone and the viewers at large out there. For me, there is just no justification whatsoever for doing such a thing. A person with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 senses firing in all cylinders, you go and drop your trousers in front of your child, of your daughter, then there is something very wrong with you. Be it you are having marital issues with the mother or with your wife whatsoever, it is not an excuse for you to go and defile a child. Those marital problems are your problems. Deal with them. If you cannot control your libido and so on, then there is something very wrong. It's just something not right. Actually, it's an abomination in the African culture of the highest order. There is no way you can even stand up and give an excuse and say, no, Kaidi, my wife was refusing me in bed, so that's what. That is madness at its best. You cannot even stand up to give. If ever you are found in such in fact, you should just shut up. You should just shut up. We don't need people. We don't need people like that in society. Such people actually should be caged forever should be caged forever in jail. We don't need such kinds of people in society. To be honest, I'm speaking this.
Okay. Sorry to cut you short. If see my parents cheva mavichita. Mapezika maybe na mwana my parents maybe bamuna banafa. Then bakazi swachitabu ati yaye endako banko bako bakusungeko banti bako bakusungeko, then they take advantage. Kaisi mwana wangu.
For me, I look at every child who is in your house as your child. Look at every child in that line. Whoever you are keeping in your house, those are your children. They are under your custody because you have been entrusted to take care of them. You have a responsibility to actually even protect them. That is part of your duties. As long as someone is under your custody, those are your responsibility. Now, you who has been entrusted to protect those children, to care for those children, should be the one to open the doors and start doing. How do you protect them then? Because it's like they have actually brought the children into the lion's den. That is what you are just trying to imply. There is no justification whatsoever. Take care of whoever is under your roof as your child. Treat each and every one of them exactly as your children. In that way, you be able to develop an eye to say, these are my children, and you are like a parent. Not you start separating them from your mind to say, Uyu, there is no blood connection with me. Uyu, you see how you start setting yourself up for such kind of uselessness. Each and everyone who is in your house is your child. End of story. It doesn't have to be no Kaidi ni mwana wa sister wanga only, then that's when I can say it's my child, or mwana wa brother wanga only. Then the rest, the cousins, children to my cousins, it's okay. Problems are already starting.
Lawrence, it's not only vana bamunyumba. Any child in the community, as long as this is a child is in alim community, you have no right kuchita research pa mwana. You have no right kupeleka mwana kuti musebenzese kuti marichos yanu munkalenganga mukaende kunganga. You have no right. Leave that child to be a child. Allow the children to enjoy their childhood. Not vana nga baona mukulu bayopa. And whether ni wa munyumba ni wa, as long as that is a child. And let's take it at any time nga twabafe mupepi no mwache. Let's just take a responsibility to take care of that child. Chapwa. Whether ni wa munyumba, whether ni brulu wako, whether ni wakuti, you have no right. Leave that child alone.
Aunt Mutinta, I've heard, I've interacted with rape victims as well as defilement victims, where, yes, my victims, they have a story to tell, and the perpetrator, I've heard one excuse that I chifukwa amai vake so amamvalika mubwino mwana amamvalika ma short skirts, so imankhala kuti njere kairi dressing yumuziva mwamuna safunika mukazi achita expose chani, all these silly excuses are given.
Yes.
Is it high time that mothers need to dress their children up appropriately?
We have a problem in our society, because with that statement that you are giving, you are actually shifting the blame onto the victim and onto the victim's mother, which is not correct. Every person has got self-control. Every person has got self-control. And as I said earlier, if it doesn't happen with the animals, why should it happen with a human being? That child is innocent. They do not know anything about sex. How do you get aroused by looking at a small child or by looking at somebody who's immature, regardless of how they are dressed? It means that you have been having all of these imaginations about that particular child for you to go and grab the child and defile them. It has nothing, for me, I don't take it that it has to do with dressing. Let's not put the blame on the victim. Let's not put the blame on the victim. And that is the problem that we have in society, because now we are saying it is your fault as a mother. You have not dressed this child well. That's why this child got raped. Or that's why this person got raped. But what about that person who has committed the crime? Does it mean that he had a right to do that? Do two wrongs make a right? They don't. I don't agree with that statement, not at all. Not with a young child. Maybe with an elderly person above the age of 21. Above the age of 18, yes. But below that age, no, I do not agree. But even if the person is above the age of 18, the fact of the matter is everybody has got they have the right to dress the way that they're actually dressing. The thing that gets the men is that you keep looking. You don't just look one time and then you get attracted. No. If we look even if I take you into the Bible now, how did Eve get caught up with eating the fruit? Because she kept looking at it and she saw that it was what? It was good. She kept looking at it. If you see that the child is inappropriately dressed, why continue staring at her? Why not walk away? So I don't agree with that statement that it is because the mother hasn't dressed her well, because you are shifting the blame onto the victim and onto the victim's mother.
All right. Thank you so much, Aunt Mutinta. Let me get to welcome Abia. Abia, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Mr. Tazza, and the fellow friends at the panel?
We are fine,
We are doing fine, thank you. All right, so welcome to Nsaka, and today we are discussing child sexual abuse. We are talking about sodomy and defilement. You can quickly put through your thoughts on this generally as we also get you engaged.
Lance, before he comes in, sorry, I just want to add on something what Aunty Mutinta was saying. Me, I'm not going to be economical with the words. And I think I'll be a little bit stronger. I want to borrow a proverb from the rich tribe. the Bemba tribe. Ilanda munjelere kunala alanda. Unfortunately, these animals should not have excuse. I don't know. These human beings should not have an excuse. Muchimemba batila amaso yankash. It can't arouse the brother. Even if this brother has seen a sister naked, it can never make them to have an idea of going to bed with them or of having sex with them. So literally, whether naked, ingo omwana wa 2 years, bafire bamufwali kashani. Bamoto wali mfwati not wa 2 months, not wa 3 months. So omwana okwete 3 months afire okufwalira yali ashani mwe bantu nga te diaper yenga fwala. Tinamvera bena ngo amavula bana. So what dressing, how is it coming in? Answer, I rest my case. I take it so personal me.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate. All right, so Chiponta says, please go through the signs for a parent to suspect that the child is being sexually abused. All right, I will go back to that. Let's just, okay, then he says also, what steps should a parent take if they suspect their child is being sexually abused? Thank you so much, Chibonta. Let's get to have Abia's input on the topic of discussion. Abia, you can come through.
Yeah, I'll start with dressing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's for me as a father, I've seen that the kind of dressing of this girl is not good. I'll usually go straight to the mother or my wife to say, talk to her. This dressing is not allowed here in my house.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way. I can't say, no, that's because she's not improper dressing should make me have a desire and a dream to have a kind of knowledge of that. That's being unhuman. I have to address that problem through my wife. Talk to the child. If the behavior continues, then I have to find a way for that child where she should be raised. Whether to have because she's not abiding with the rule of law in my house. So to avoid those problems, I have to change this out to another one. So the dressing shouldn't be an excuse to say, no, I did this kind of knowledge. Say, no, because of poor dressing and whatever. No, you are the head of the family. You are making rule of law together with your wife. So be a defendant there. You can't say, no, that's because of dressing. Yes. So for these guys who are doing that kind of knowledge just because of rituals, as for me, I think these people, they shouldn't be even have that, what language should I use? Okay. To be given a sympathize, to say, because I don't go to manga. No. We members from the community, if you have seen that happening, let's report these people to the police so that they have to be convicted. That behavior will ruin the girl child's future. I think I'll just stop here. I have raised my case.
We are talking about girl child. What about the boy child as well? Tali Sodomy ndiye badye wana maningi Sodomy. Sinadye maningi bana bamuna. Tinti bakambe kuna bebe bana bamuna.
Himba, when you are saying a girl child, in the other side is a boy child. You see that? So whoever is listening, when we are talking about a child, it's either mwana mamuna or mwana mukazi. It also involves this because especially rituals on rituals. These guys, they go there and find money. Others, saying that HIV, HIV, you see that? That's a totally lie. You see that? So these are the causes that lead into this.
Okay, Ruth, good evening, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Lancy. Good evening,
Good to
Himba.
see you.
Good to see
evening,
you.
Varuthi mwachimpia napa ba boring pansaka mwachiwa kwi.
Oh, kwena na pekanya.
Oh, okay. I'm sure na mtupekanyishisha. Mulupe mulipingika.
Pekanyaning for the Nsaka is just to come and just be there, Pensaka. And it
was no lubango filia.
Just to be there, though today it's quite heartbreaking for this Nsaka.
Definitely, let's get to discuss these real issues. As heartbreaking as it is, these are things that are happening in the community, and if we do not talk about it, they will die a natural death. Definitely. So quickly, let's have your general overview of the topic. So child sexual abuse, sodomy and defilement. It may be your child or your neighbor's child. So if you are not affected, like we say, if you are not infected, you will be affected because azanka maybe ni mwana wa mfana wako, wa mkuru wako, hivi vamchitikira. So let's get to talk about it. What's your general overview?
Okay, with this case, my mind is not even at easy. It's like you're not really sure because many times, a parent, no matter how careful you may be, this time, because this affect both mwana mwamuna na mwana mkazi. Mu bedroom mwapanga tumunimogona bana bamuna beka kanchi the other mwana mwamuna bampanga kuli uja winango mwana mwamuna muzaki. So as a parent, it's quite heartbreaking that it's like wazipeza position mwamine ulibe maanza ulibe na defense mechanism yamine unga faki. And
all right. Yes, please go ahead. You can finish.
Depending on the age of the child, some children may disclose that this is what is going on. Others may not disclose because they'll feel comfortable and they may enjoy the act of whatever that is happening with them.
All right. Let me get back to Aunty Mutinta. Chibonta wants to know the signs. Nima signs bwanji amene mwana amalangiza o mwana amachita bwanji communicate kuli either amayi wake or atate wake kuti kuli vaso vamene vinchitikira ine.
Thank you for the question. As I said earlier, the most important thing is that as parents, we should develop a very good relationship with our children. Let's find time to talk to them about what was happening in the day. Let's make them comfortable to tell us anything and everything. Not you come to work, the child wants to tell you, iwe nalema, ekanipumule. The next thing, you are on WhatsApp. The next thing, you are watching a movie. When you don't have that relationship, it becomes very difficult for the child to know how you are going to react. So in building that relationship, you are telling the child to say, you can tell me anything, you can tell me whatever. I will not shout at you, I will not be angry with you. I just want to know what is happening, especially when they are young. The other thing also, like I've said, is if they are still of that birthable age, take time. Ingati 2 days a week or 3 days a week, mamusambika kwa mwana. Not always leaving it to the maid. You come back home, bana basamba, okay. You are sitting in your chair, you are behind your phone. You will not know. But at least if you bath the child, you up and you be able to take that up. The other thing is, when you are leaving the home, muzamu wanachabi mwana mwamena zambo nyinga, or mwamena zankalira uncomfortable, usala na wamene uyo muntu. Don't say, we have utachabe, you have to zinkala nae. No, take time to find out why is the child behaving like that. There's a reason why the child is crying, a reason why the child is refusing to stay with this particular person. The other thing is when a child has been very joyful, he was playing around, suddenly mwana safuna kusebera na banzake, afuna chape kunkala eka, the appetite has changed, take time. In other words, children are supposed to be happy. Childhood is meant to be a happy place where the child is free to play, to express themselves, to explore what is happening around them. When you see that the child is not doing those things, you need to find out what is the matter. And the other thing, ngati musunga abantu mwaona kuti uyu muntu ali too good ku bana. Take time to look into that, because bantu bamene bachita vintu voipa, they tend to behave very good when you are around. They tend to be too good. You want to touch the baby, no, musiyeni nizamusambika. No, musiyeni nizampikira. Why? They are afraid that when you get in touch with the child, you're going to find out what's happening. So those are some of the few things, some of the few indicators that you can look out for.
Lance, just an addition, and just for me to share a scenario on what Aunty Mutinta has said, especially on somebody who is very good to the kids. You know, there's a time when one of the kids was playing with the kids, with the friends. Apparently, this boy started crying. No, he wanted to touch, he was removing my pant. He was removing my pant. And then I became interested and I asked this child, I said, then he pointed at this boy. Apparently, the moment he pointed at this boy, and you know, so when I went to this boy, why were and you see this boy, and then he looked like he couldn't run, he couldn't answer me, but he was just looking at me. You know, you'd see that kavakati nafidia. Then I somewhere, because what came into my mind was, if Achram Fula Kaptula, then he wanted to play with his Willie. Where did he see that? So I told the boy, I said, no, but I'll go with this boy. I want to find out. For me, that was a clear indicator that that child was being abused. So I needed to blow the whistle. So I went with the boy, and with the other one, so when we went, the moment I knocked at the door, at the gate, when I knocked at the gate, the person who came to the gate, so nice, nice, and I want to talk to you. Are you the guardian to this child? Then he was like, Ashtachan. And I said, I was thinking this is a responsible man. And I'm like, so I want to know. And this man quickly closed Karaka gate and trying that we discussed the matter outside the gate. Said, then I said, no. Are you the parent to this child? He said, he couldn't answer that question. And I said, no, I want to know, are you the parent to this child? Then he said, who are the parents? My brother and the wife. Where are they? Then he said, I said, can I talk to them? Well, we can finish it between me and you. So just that protection, for me, it sent a lot of information. Why was this man refusing me to talk to the parents first? Secondly, why was he so protective that the parents should not know about what happened? You know? And this child who was also trying to abuse the other child, he's also a child. So where did he see this act? You know, so we should be very sensitive. Because Naina, obviously somebody who showed his child how to do it. So most of the children who are abused, they end up to be abusers as well. So if this child was abusing the friend, who abused him as well? You know, so the child he wanted to abuse was a victim, and even the child who was abusing the friend, he was a victim to somebody. So this is a chain reaction where parents, we have to be careful. So when I spoke to the parents of this child, the uncle went and locked himself in the bedroom, and I clearly stated, you have to find out where this child learned this. This is wrong, and which means your child is becoming an abuser. So what am I trying to say? There are issues which politicians are taking advantage and they're thinking it's a light thing, sodomy. It actually starts in our homes. You are going to find other number politicians who are talking about it. They can't even realize. So there's no person who's going to be okay. There may be there a few of them who will be sodomized at an odd age, but it starts in our community, in our homes, in our churches, in our gathering we have. So even these politicians that exist in your own homes, these issues you are championing for your political gain, you are going to find your children are actually victims. So be careful what you're championing.
Thank you so much, Himba. Tazza, good evening. Are you with us now?
Yes, good evening. How are you?
Good to have you.
Thank you.
It's been a struggle. All right. We would also like to get your view on the topic of discussion.
Okay. Yes. So I think you covered up. I should say 80%. But I want to add on what Mama is talking about, on the part on how African homes are trying to cover up such issues. And some people are trying to ignore such issues and thinking to say it can never happen to their child. Remember, even the topic of discussion down there, you indicated to say, what if it happens to your child? I always say this to say, even at some point, my own father thought that no child, no daughter of his would ever get raped. But this is something that happened to me, you know? So you can't predict the future, but the only thing that we can do as Zambians is for us to start speaking out and hold hands together to working against this. It's the only way that you can prevent it from it happening to your child. But if you decide to take a step back as a parent, it will happen to your child. And what are you going to do next? And then a lot of people, politicians to say etc. From what she has said to say, a lot of people are keeping quiet, are shutting this down. But they are very much aware that this is something that is happening in their house, in their home. It will only take one person to really come out, and if we can hold each other's hands and not really put the blame on the victim, it's gonna be a better Zambia in the future. The problem is that we tend to blame the victims. Mostly, I think at first when Tita was saying something, she said about the dress code. To say, okay, we put the blame on the dress code to say, okay, ladies, we don't know how to dress, but how can we explain about that 3 months who was raped to death? Can you put it to say, okay, it was because of the dress code? No. So I think rape has everything to do with the perpetrator. It has nothing to do with the victim. So now, what are we going to do as Zambia? And then in my research, I have noticed to say we have a lot of people who are bipolar moving around. So that's something that we need to discuss. Remember, from the time of this discussion of people being sodomized, from the time they started talking about it, it's something that I think it's not even happening on a daily basis. What does that tell us? It tells us to say we have a lot of people who are not okay mentally. They are moving around in very good and better suits. They're driving nice cars. But we don't tend to talk about that. We talk about this more. It will be easy for mothers out there to support it, to say, okay, maybe I think my brother or my husband has such signs. What are we going to do to protect my children, to protect my siblings, or anyone? So I think it's high time that we really hold hands and start talking about it. Yeah, I think I would say that for now.
All right, thank you so much, Tazza, for your input there. I've seen we also have Mukelebai. Good evening, Mukelebai. How are you doing?
Good evening, Lance. How are you? I'm very fine. How is everyone on the panel?
We're okay.
We are fine.
We're
Yeah.
fine, thank you.
No, I can hear that you guys, you've done everything. You've said a lot, and there's nothing much to add. Otherwise, what I can only say to the program is that we should have such kind of educative programs so that at least we educate the masses out there, and instead of letting people politicize case issues that are quite serious, that need to be sensitized to the community. But what we see is that people are busy pointing a finger at the government, saying they are running certain schemes to protect or promote gayism or sodomy or these illicit activities, which is not true. We know for the fact that that's not true because we have the law, our Zambian law under section 132 and 138. You know that it talks about rape, talks about defilement, it talks about even sodomy. Any man, any person that has canon knowledge to a child, a person below and above the age, especially above the age of 14, carries the maximum of 14 years in prison. It's there. It's stated in the law. And if you have canon knowledge with a child that is below the age of 14 and go down, it's punishable. Of course, maybe we should just ask the legislature, our parliamentarian, to stiffen some of these laws, to amend so that we can stiffen the punishment, because we feel that the punishment is not enough. But otherwise, we have the law. It's like murder. When you murder in Zambia, it's a crime. You are arrested. And even these people who are promoting homosexuality or who are busy practicing homosexuality, gayism, or whatever you call it, sodomy, once you are found, once you are arrested, you will be dealt with. The law will deal with you. It is illegal in Zambia. It is not allowed. We cannot copy. It's not even copied from the Western world. In Zambia, we are not. You go to South Africa, they allow those things. So why should we hear people talking as though the country is promoting or abating, or rather have a scheme where we are deliberately promoting the gayism? Then we start to question whether their motives, or those people are claiming that this government that has refused, that is on record, telling the Zambian people it is illegal to practice gayism in Zambia, even sodomy, anything unnatural. It is not allowed. Even in Miambo, it is.
Thank you so much.
Why should someone go ahead and start propagating that there's this and that? Tikabagwira abo bamene bachita vonse evo bambangiwa na beve to they will be arrested. In short, let me stop there first.
Thank you so much, Wom Kenebai. Now, panel, I would like us to go to in this route. So, Aunty Mutinta had given signs and symptoms that a child can show or would tell you that he or she is being sexually abused. And one of them was creating a relationship with the child so that at least akwanisa kukushimikira nkono kuti aipesi mwenzeko adadi benzi bachitaso banko benzi bachitaso okapena mami benzi bachita bwanji na bwanji. Time and again, when you go to these local courts here in Zambia mostly, mzapeza njere mwana akauza amayi wake kuti adadi benze banigwira ku ma private party amayi bazamenya mwana uja ati okunakirizira chikwati o ukamba vamene suziva. We have seen this, we have heard it happen. Now, how does the child confidently tell the mother kuti njere adadi benze bachitavaso or banko benze bachitavaso pesi mwenzepo? Let me start with you, Abia, and then we get to Ruth.
Yeah, if you have behavior, it becomes a challenge to a child to talk. I remember when I just came in, Madam Tinta says need to be a good friend to our child. So I think that can help if you are the mother, be a friend to this child. If you are saying no, that means you are ruining the life of that child. So which one is good? Ruining your or ruining a child's life? Which one is better? I think the best way is to be flexible with children. Let's be friends, so that those children, they can feel and have the appetite to talk to us. And sometimes sometimes the language that these children are using, we know our children, the way they talk, the way they speak, the language they use. So strange languages that they will start now coming up, it's a clear sign that there's something fishy or strange happening to this child. Then we need to take action. If we're not taking action from that time, then it will be too late to discover that our child is being abused.
All right, Ruth, mwana anena kuti adadi banko bachitavaso imwe instead yo chita find out kuti bwanji chito ni kumenya ati uzanisirizira chikwati.
Okay, iyo ni wrong parenting mwene ningakambire ngati muntu aplacing ama values yake. Just like Uncle Abby has said. Because you as a parent, I feel my parents, sometimes parents value their marriage more than their own lives. And many times that is why maybe we have a number of people that are dying inside with the issues that are affecting them in their marriages without disclosing. Because apamandi, it's like wafuna kushita silence mwana, uzanisebanya, bandani wade wakaziva. When you begin to act like that, you have no interest in the life of that child. But parent, zero, and you have your love for these children, you would rather die for your children than for their father. Because replace is the father of those children. I can replace them, but I cannot replace my children. It doesn't matter how many children I can have. If I lose one child, I'll always remember that child that I lost. So this should make a parent to have this relationship with a child. The way one would tell, men or women are able to tell about each other. Mood. But if there is one mood that we don't pay attention to, is the mood for the children. We don't pay attention to what the children are feeling, what is going on in their lives. And to many parents, it's like, as long as you've provided food, that's it. Tamban TV. And today, TV is another thing that is introducing these things to our children. And we leave them to watch. We don't even know what they are watching, and we are paying for those things. We've never taken time to damn it in there. The next thing, is that look in a so you don't want to listen, you don't want to say anything, all you want is to beat. Keep quiet. Silencing that innocent voice. We are becoming more wicked than Satan himself, which is already wicked. I feel if there is a parent who has so much value for their relationships more than the life of these children, it's time to let go. Forget what people will say about your marriage. Consider what is happening to this life that you may want to destroy, because you are also contributing to the loss of that life.
Himba, thank you so much.
Lance, I think she has raised something that is very interesting actually. It has to do with how families perceive the society will look at them, especially when some of these things happen. You know, what one thing that actually is a problem is that when a child reports to say, "Mommy, this is what happened to me," the biggest thought that most people have is manje vakamvera ti vamuna vanga vachitava so how will people look at this? Are these same of verticality in bed in the marriages? So in the end, women will tend to try and protect, even if they know this is wrong, they will try to deal with the issue, probably take the child to the hospital, and they'll still not want to mention who the perpetrator is. They want to hide and protect that perpetrator, hide them back, put them at the back while trying to solve the problem and say, okay, have to solve the problem. But again, these are the situations that we are finding in the society.
Definitely, and it's like you've read my mind, because that's the issue I wanted to raise with Himba. Yakuti mwana nena amaye nje yai nkalazi uzationesera mu family bantu azatiganisira bwanji. I don't know your take, Himba.
So
Aunty Mutinta, come through before I come in.
yeah, thank you. I think that you need to look at child abuse from a broader perspective, because it has got a lot of factors that come into play. So you have this family that are living in a certain place. You have this woman, she's totally dependent on a man, and you have this child who is there. The man comes and abuses the child, and this woman has got no social support. She's not financially stable. What does she do? What does she do? It's not a very clear-cut situation where you can say, okay, it's okay, I'll go and report to the police, and thereafter we are going to remember, maybe she's got other children who are there. Maybe she's got 2, 3, 4 children with that man. Yeah. And she's also trying to look at what the impact of her decision is going to be on those other children. So it's not an easy solution, because what needs to happen then is for the whole household to get involved in this particular matter. And it's like GBV. We've heard of women being battered. They take the matter to the police. After some 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they go and withdraw the case. Why? Because there are socio-economic factors that also play into this whole issue. So it's not black and white, and I think we need to be aware of that aspect, and not so much condemn the woman to say she shouldn't take that kind of approach, because she's looking at everything that is in front of her. She's looking at the child who's abused. She's looking at her other children. She's looking at her own life. What does she do? You'll find that this person is in a dilemma. So the question is, what is it that can be done to help women in order to come out of this situation, such that when they go to report such matters, they are also helped financially, or they are also helped socially, so that the impact of what they have done can actually be minimized.
Thank you so much. Himba, quickly come in.
Thank you so much, Lance. Aunty Mutinta has actually raised a very cardinal issue, which it's a very complex anyway to handle. But my point of view is we need to fight this animal, sexual abuse. There are a number of things that we go through in our homes which we don't realize. Me, I'm not going to be saying society, so I'm talking about in my house. I may be talking about society, because when we are saying society, we are thinking of the outsiders. We are not thinking of ourselves, that we are part of that society we are talking about. But having said that, class, There's one issue I would want to emphasize before I actually respond to what when a mother is keeping a secret or a father is keeping a secret. For me, I feel both parents are abusers, both states are abusers, but there's a group of people in society who are at risk of abuse, abana, and we think all is well with them. Aba bamumayadi. Bana bamumayadi, they are abused, and nothing happens. Nothing is done. Kange beve na mafensi ya jabana, kange banka achie mu fence. You know, actually, very bachoka kukwatu ife kumakombo ni easier because children they mix, and somehow kazashi alingako kuli munzake or kuli baneba, so that child will be easily protected or maybe will be easily saved from that situation. But mumayadi na mwive, as much as we think things are okay with them, kids are abused there, and most of the kids who come from high class areas, they are not helped. And even the parents at a certain point, they won't even know, you know, because amai bake ni wa working class, batate bake ni wa working class. But in a house, it's a self-contained bedroom. In the morning, bazasamba bedroom wamene muja bachoka, maybe bazatenga chetu malavena kusazadia na breakfast. You don't even get to interact with children, as Aunty Mutinta has proposed, has said. You have no time. Olo mwana inga banamuononga simnamvere simuntamwa mufwe no kumufwa ingo mwana alenunka tamwa mumono mwana inga alaenda, because all those are signs. You're not even noticing mwana ngashita withdraw benangu batate bao bachoka kuseni bazabwela futi kuseni bachoka na 8 hours in the morning again bazabwela 02 in the morning. No time to oneko bana tikambeko na bana. But when a child is abused in a home, there are a lot of symptoms and signs you are able to see as a parent. If you are a concerned parent, bamumayadi, please take note to the children. Talk to the children. Aba mamedi be musira, my garden boy. Na beve ndiye ma abusers. Sasa mukana na mazukulu bakuti ba garden banapimbika mwana ba garden boy banamupunzisa ba Sodomy banamuchita vachani ba mate. There are a lot of things that happens. Ba anko mnaenda mu office bujamwe mbasi ya vebichitika vambiri. Imwe namwe ya kumchito mwali ya kuma workshops. Aba ichefe bapita mu fingi half time. Inga tamwikala sana panganda once in a while, even go out. You go and check, you go and you just have a time with kids. Talk to your children. Apart from that, if you back with Lancy, you know, even the culture where we come from. You know, there are things we say they are a taboo to talk about. You know, even we talk about the issue of sexuality, child abuse, it's wrong, you know, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, this needs everyone. It's a holistic approach. These children who go through sexual abuse, who are being sodomized in their homes, they go through a trauma. And this trauma is very difficult to fight it. They struggle, they suffer within themselves. They even become bad managers of relationships. And this child will lose interest in opposite sex. As I know, I'm okay with a fellow woman, I'm okay stibaba. Then they'll completely lose interest in relationships. So it really have serious side effects on these victims when they grow up. Some they will appreciate the meno jamunenzo mugona. Ndio azashita appreciate. When angubana bazankala na vana bauti ni mwana wa batate bake ni mwana wa baba mbuye bake. Now think about it. Walikala no mwana wa bawiso. Ati mwana wa batate. There's ndiye suicide rate mvela. There are a lot of things. There's a lot of negative impact in the society. Lance, I raise my.
Thank you so much. I would like to get Tazza's perspective as well on this issue. Tazza.
Okay. So I think what I would say, it starts from somewhere. When a woman is about to get married, I think they need to be explaining more. You should cover your husband's shame. So most of the women, they think when they say you should cover your husband's shame, even when your husband sleeps with your child, you cover that. I think it also comes from there. Because I've had interactions with a lot of women from the foundation who had young girls who were raped before. 50% of them, they always say to say, okay, I'm trying to protect my marriage and my husband so that society can see my husband to be a normal man and a normal king. How do you call a king? How can a king sleep with his own child? So I think on that one, we really need to, they need to be explaining more on covering their husband's shame. It's not just anything. And then on parents, as women, in as much we're all working, it's okay, but you really need to be having time for your children. I agree with what my mama is talking about. This is why we have a broken generation. Why? Because we have a lot of young girls, they have had abortions for their fathers more than 2 times, more than 10 times. They say no. We have a lot of divas. They love money. But if you were to do your own research, you would find out to say that those ladies were raped below the age of 10 and they can't contain one man. So they're not doing that because of money. What are they doing it for? They want to satisfy that ego. They want to gain back the power. But society is looking at it to say, I'm a divas. They want money. They're living a fake life. It has everything to do with Maya and where we're coming from. So it all goes back to parents, mostly us women. In a Zambian culture, they tell us to say, we are the ones who we raise our children on our own. In as much as we have a man in the house, a man is always busy. Make sure, sit to each, to say each and everything is okay with your daughter, with your son. And that's what I would say. And then mostly, these people that help us with marriage, counseling, and everything, they should be explaining more when they say cover your husband's shame. It's something which is affecting a lot of women out there.
Thank you so much, Tazza, for that contribution. Just a reminder to our viewers, you can come through into the studio. Join us into the studio. We continue sharing with you the studio link. Click on it, join us into the studio. Let's get to discuss this great, important topic. As well as when you are leaving a comment, you can express a view, ask a question, or share a concern which you would like the panel to talk about, or just you talking about it. We'll be glad to read about it and to know about it. Now, panelists, well, maybe before we get to the other question, I would like Mukerebai to get your take on this. So this child, after I was amai wake na tate wake bakangwa kuipukisa imbiri okapena bakangiwa kuchita act parichi. What is the next step that the child has to take to make sure kuti information at least afunika aichosa mchesti aona naona kuti justice has prevailed?
Wow. I think the majority of the panelists have spoken, have given most of the response and the answers. How, when you're talking about a child, you know, children, we see them as innocent as a plain paper. And when we see the behavior of our children, that's almost like a replica of what it's actually the mirror. They absorb our behavior as parents. They absorb anything. And the moment we parent start instilling, and I repeat, it's mostly to men. Men in Zambia, in particular, African parents, does instill fear in children's lives. The children, they would rather go and sit on the mother's laps than going to sit on their father's laps. Fathers are failing to build a relationship with their children, especially boy children. They wouldn't want to do that. They would rather come up with this toughness, because they want to inculcate some knowledge, some manliness in this child. In a process, they alienate this child. And most of the children, they run away from their fathers. They would rather go and start divulging certain information to strangers that are giving them an ear to listen or show them love and care. So it is us, the parents, that needs to change our ways of raising our children. This toughness in us men, Zambian men, African men, in our children won't take us anywhere. If anything, we will alienate our children from. That's why you see that when they grow, they become men. What do? They would rather help, support their mother than you, the father. Why? Because of the examples that you said, you led them. So the issue also comes to the social welfare and the neighbors. People that observes a child that is being abused, if at all they are of a good heart, they care of that child, and they know that that child is in need. They can go to the social welfare, and I will report to the police, and the police will refer matters to the relevant authorities that will take good care of that child. And you know, those social welfare people, they are trained. Social workers, they are trained. They know how to speak to the children, and children will eventually start calling the information and giving out the information to the person. Because of the fear, the children would rather hide whatever happened to them at home. They would rather keep it to themselves or share with some friends. So
Thank you
it
so
is
much.
imperative. So it is imperative as parents, especially male parents, to pull up our socks and help out our women to raise children together. It is not a duty of a woman to raise a child alone. It is us men too. It's 50-50. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wom Kedeva. Before I bring in CJ, I want the same question to be answered by you, by Ruth. So this child tells the mother or the father that they are being sexually abused and they don't get heard. What's the next step that they are supposed to take?
Can I take that? Can I take this out?
Yes, Tazza, you can take it.
Okay, yes. So if a child has tried to communicate to their parents and they're not responding, I would advise to say just talk to someone close to you, even if it's your neighbor or someone from church, just someone that you know and trust. Because what tends to happen is that, you know how the perpetrator works, is that they will make sure they turn each and every person against you. And as parents, I think we should be getting worried when we see to say, okay, your daughter loves that uncle too much. And then most of the, I've heard people being comfortable, I never say, they're just like that. But perpetrators will turn things around and then they'll make you parents and everyone around that your child as if you don't love her. And they will seem to say that the only person there for them. So if there's someone listening to this and you're in such a situation, you've tried to communicate to your parents, but you can't get any help, please talk to anyone near you, anyone outside from your house, church, even anyone that you just met on the roadside, you can get help. Just don't keep quiet. We are here to help you, and if you can't, we have pages on Facebook everywhere. You can just contact any person.
Thank you so much, Tazza, for that. CJ, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Lance. Good evening, panelists as well as viewers. Always a pleasure to be here. I had asked the question, what steps should a parent take when you are suspecting or you have been told that your child is being sexually abused? What are the practical steps that a responsible parent should take and handle the situation? Attached to that, I'll also say there are also parents that fear like stigma for the child's mental state, whereby mwana bazambo mukamba kuipa from the public, saying uyu ni victim watane banamraping or that kind of a thing. So what practical steps should a responsible parent take when they discover that such a thing is happening to their child? Thank you.
Anyone can pick it up, panelists. We can start with anyone taking it up.
Okay, let me come in. Like I said earlier, when such thing happen, people just rush to act emotional, because as a parent, you wouldn't want anyone to put their filthy fingers on your beautiful child. And the first thing that comes in your mind is to retaliate and find the perpetrator and deal with him. To me, that is too much. Allow the authority to take care of that aspect. But the most important thing is the main interest that a parent should show is the child's health. Is she okay? Is he okay? What's the first thing you do when you receive such an information? Is to find out if that child is fine, and then rush that child to the nearest medical to go and receive some medical facilities, medical help. Upon examination and discover that the child is okay, definitely there will be the hospital will actually refer to you, the parent, to go and report the matter to the police, the nearest police station, where either a medical report will be issued, because according to Zambian law, we have to get some police report, and then you take it to the hospital. But to me, that's the waste of time. But the best thing you do, rush to the hospital to save the life first, and then go to the police later on and get a piece of paper where the doctor is going to write their findings, and then the police will use that for. But what matters first is health, life first. Save your life of the child, and then take the matter to the authority, the police, and then the perpetrator will be either apprehended, and then the case will start. And that's how far you can go as a parent. You don't have to take the law into your own hands. And then also the issue of parents should avoid to mention names of children, or even write names of children on social media, or trying to negate them, or try to tell stories about what happened to the children, to their kid, to other people. Uyu mwana uyu naye avuta sikamvera tinzokauza mwakaona manje banakachita sona sonso. That is so immature, and if you do that, that child, when it grows up, can actually turn around and sue you for any trauma or any injury or any suffering that she may suffer and as a result of your careless talks as a parent. So you have to be very careful as parents. That's what I can say for now.
Okay,
And
can
I come in?
Yes, Aunty Mutinta, you can come in.
Just in addition to what has been mentioned, I think you need to separate the child from the perpetrator. If it is in the same household, you need to ensure that you move the child out of the space where the perpetrator is, because remember, the perpetrator might have been threatening the child, and with the revelation that they have now been caught, it is possible that they can harm the child. So it is important to separate the two of them. Yes, if it is somebody at the neighbor's place, it is also important to ensure that he doesn't run away in some way or another, because it's very common that today somebody, one of a neighbor, by the time the police come back, that guy has actually disappeared. So you just need to keep a lookout and make sure that that person is there. And then with regards to talking about the issue, I think one of the problems that we have had in Zambia is that we don't want to talk about what happens to us, and thereby we perpetuate the stigma that comes with it. If you recall, when HIV started, there was a lot of stigma, there was a lot of discrimination that went with it. But because of the amount of openness that came out, if you remember that, what was his name? That Zulu guy who came out and said, I'm HIV positive. And even the time when he got married, there was a lot of talking. How can he get married? He's HIV positive. And they just told them, yes, I'm positive, but I'm a human being. I also have feelings. I need companionship. So we need to find a way to talk about these issues without adding stigma to the child, because as long as we don't talk about what is happening, this stigma is still going to continue, because it will be like, I have done something wrong. That is why this thing has happened to me. So that is what I can add. It's important to find ways to bring the issue to the fore and to keep it on the table. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aunty Mutinta. Himba, you wanted to come in?
Yes, Lance. I've got two issues. The other one, I'm going to make an addition to what Tazza said. Tazza talked on a positive side and professional side, that what happens if a child, how can you help a child? When she said you can talk to her, what happens if the child is not helped? So, as I said, you can talk when a child is being in a sexually abused situation. What do they do? So I want to answer also on the other side that if the child, we don't help them, they end up being substance abusers. They start using drugs. When a child is not helped, they feel isolated and they feel to be alone. They'll commit suicide. They'll have very negative impact upon their lives. Some, they even go into self-harm. They hate themselves. They don't appreciate. They lose self-esteem. So literally at that point, a child needs a lot of help. So literally, when we see mwana vonse vachitika, you really need to engage with professions. But then, on the other hand, as we are engaging with these professions, when the act has happened now, what should the parents do? What steps should they take? Before you think of taking this child anywhere, even to the police, assure them that you're going to stand by them. Show them love. Don't judge them. If in our culture, the moment mwana ankala involved in such a situation, what they will do first is Sumvera, when anyway, they'll start condemning the child, that kind of thing. And some, they'll even speak ill things about this child. But let's appreciate this child. Before you even think of taking to the police, you discover, this child, you've got suspicions. Take them nicely. Let them trust you, for them to open up to you. Show this child that you love them, you appreciate them. Slowly, then you engage with them until that child will be able to open up and find comfort, and assure them that you're going to stand with them. You're going to give them the support they need throughout that period. And as you are going through that period, if as a parent, because you also already, sometimes the moment you have proof as a parent, or you get to believe what the child is telling you, you also become traumatized, maybe even start feeling bad about the child. If you can't handle the situation, involve other people. And even when you are involving other people, please get consent from the child. Mumipeleka ku police mwana mushitavonse hivyo. Even whatever you're doing to this child, please explain. Tizakupeleka ku hospital, tizakupeleka ku police. No. Explain to the child. And afterwards, make sure that when you finish all the process, please make sure this child, they get their self-esteem, and make sure that they are able to get their life back, although it's not easy. Make sure that this child has a link to the organization like having a Tazza and other people who can help in society. And if possible, may these culprits be put behind bars.
Thank you so much, Himba. Abia, if you've seen, Elijah has brought up a very interesting question, which I would like to start with you. He says, what if it's the teacher who has discovered that a relative is abusing the child? What happens? What does this teacher do? Or what is the teacher supposed to do? The child has opened up to the teacher. Kuti, oh, my parents mami vanga uku awe mandi choneka mngandine weniriko. Then what happens? What does the teacher do?
I think a teacher stands a better because a teacher knows the involved. So the best way is to engage the child. If she can free up herself or himself to go to the hospital and have a test so that that teacher has an clear test that he was abused. Because if not taken, it's going to be difficult for this teacher to take action because it has happened outside his home. So to avoid bringing confusion in that home, that teacher needs to involve the child. Okay, when did this happen? Would you like me to take you to the hospital so that we can have clear evidence of what happens? So if the child agrees, then do that. But before doing that, find one of the relatives that child has a good friendship friend with, because you can't take another child another child for another man or another parent to the hospital all alone without someone, a relative, to say, do this. That also becomes a challenge. You need to engage one of the relatives that you feel comfortable with so that you can go through with those stages. Otherwise, if nothing has done, then it will become difficult for that teacher to help that children.
All right. Thank you so much, Abia. Let's take it from the same perspective, but Ruth, I would also like you to come in. The child opens up to the guidance teacher or to if they have a counselor teacher at this school. And then what are the next steps does this teacher have to take? Does he or she take it personal, or maybe family for that child has to be involved?
Okay, I'll take it as a teacher, me being a teacher. And sometimes as a teacher, when you have this relationship with your learners, you don't have to wait even for learners to open up. Just as a parent would observe, even you as a teacher, it's easy to observe the child's behavior in class, or sometimes the way they walk, and there are those changes that can come in, like the way they were explained, and from the beginning of the topic, how you can identify a child who's being abused. Now, after identifying, you engage yourself into a conversation with this child. And when the child gains trust, but the question comes in to say the child's open up to you. So when this child open up to you as a teacher, you ask the child if there's any of the people from the family that are aware of what is going on. Then sometimes the child may say, no, kubewa mine baziba sinabauzo mami because kaidi maybe niwa daddy, or sinabauzo wa daddy because niwa mami nazibatika bauzo wa zakalipa and stuff like that. In that case, as a teacher, I feel it's important to engage the relevant authorities, because sometimes family uzakamba family, but maybe the family already knows, and that's how they are keeping everything under the carpet. So it means once you, depending on the conversation you're going to have with this child, once you tell the family, the issue may die natural death. I'm sure the social workers, there are these organizations that are coming up. You can report and say there's this child, and I'm sure you may even know where that child lives. There is a way in which these people who are trained can follow up that matter to ensure that justice is brought to this child. Even though you cannot take the child personally to the hospital and stuff like that, but you can report in your capacity as a teacher to the police to say there's this child and this information has been entrusted. Find a way to investigate on how you can help this child, because you find that you as a teacher, you are limited because perhaps because it's a family thing and it hasn't happened in school. And today we have issues that are happening from school. So I feel as a teacher, engage the family. Also, you can directly engage the relevant authorities to ensure that the child receives help, because you are not so sure from the family whether this child will receive the help or not, or the family will cover up the issue or not. But when you report to the people that have the power to deal with these issues, you know for sure that these people will ensure that justice takes place. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruthie. And Tazza, this is your question. Which, please, if you can share or shed more light on a few organizations that works with children who are sexually abused or sodomized, and also tell us what you do as an institution.
Okay, so I will talk much more about the foundation that I'm working with. Yes, so I work with the Tazza Foundation. I started up a foundation which I named after myself. So in our foundation, we deal with children who were raped before, both girls and boys. So on that one, when we have an issue, we take it up upon ourselves. And on my end, I would say I really take it personal, because looking from where I come from, I was sexually abused at the age of 16. So I wish that's something that really inspired me to start up the foundation. And I think that's pretty much about the foundation. We make sure we seek justice, and not only seeking justice, we make sure we hold that child's hand to the point where we know to say, okay, this child is okay now. You know, healing takes time. It might take 2 days for me, and it might take 20 years for someone. So, and then in our foundation, what we basically do is we feel to say the environment is not safe for the child. I personally adopt them and I start keeping them. And as I'm talking to you, I have 8 girls that I'm keeping at home.
Okay. As we conclude, Tazza, in your last remarks, what will you tell this child who is abused somewhere, who is sexually abused, who is being sodomized somewhere? What will you tell them? What will you want them to hear from you right now?
Okay, so I would say this is something which is coming from someone who was sexually abused. So if you're listening to me and you're going through that, please listen to me. I have been through that, and I would advise to say you try and reach out to anyone near you. And if you feel you can't get help around you, please you can contact me on 0976 472286. 0976 472286. Just know that you are not alone. We are here for you, each and every person on this program. Please try to reach out to anyone that you can. All of the people that are in this program, or maybe your neighbors, just try and speak it out. Because if you let it in, I have seen people die. I have seen people commit suicide because of just keeping quiet. And don't think about the people who are going to blame you. It's okay, we'll stand back and we know that it wasn't your fault. So please try and open up, try and reach out to anyone that you can, and just know that there's hope for you to heal.
Thank you so much, Tazza. And may we have that number on the screen if we can have it, please. Abi, bamletela tata or a man who has been abusing this young girl, or bamletela Namayo who's been abusing this young man. What would you say to them as we conclude?
One way I can tell them is to repent as a Christian. I would advise them that do that. But again, I'll just tell them that they are right. Because as a father or as a man, as an old person, you need to look after your children. So I'll ask them, if it is your children who was abused, like they were using their fellow children of your fellow friends, how do you feel? It's actually unhuman to do that. So it's better to do that. And I also emphasize to those mothers who are fighting those technical things to say, no, either of marriage, no, my marriage can end, or I can lose the marriage. Please don't do that. Don't come to a second offender to this choice, because you are going to hinder or deprive her to have confidence in you. So you become a second offender to her or to the child. So better you lose early on, it's better you lose marriage, it's better you lose the house in order to save the life of this innocent child. So be a good parent, be a good human being. Let's behave as in our moral values. Don't go beyond our moral values. That's
thank you so much, Abi. Tazza, if it is possible, can we have that number again so that we can write it on the screen? Ruthie, what will you tell a teacher? Bamiletera teacher, our teacher, vale abusing the kids, both a female or male teacher. What will you say? But before you come in, Ruth, Tazza, may you please have the number?
Okay, 0976.
Yes.
2286. 0976 47 22 86.
Okay, thank you so much. Ruthie, what would you tell this teacher?
I cannot have better words to say, and I can't even imagine it myself facing this person. I don't even think if my Christian person in me can even come out to say anything better or do anything good to them. But I would wish that the law can take justice, can prevail over what they have done, whatever punishment that is given to them. I would be glad that they can be punished. And I urge also the community and everywhere we are living, there are people, children with disabilities that are being abused, and the neighborhood knows how this child is being abused. Please, let's take advantage of platforms that are open to help such people and such children. Thank you.
Ruth, there's a teacher somewhere. I know he's abusing a child. I want you to speak to them right now. Somewhere there is a teacher, whether female or male teacher, someone is abusing a child at school. I want you to talk to this teacher.
Okay. I feel like I'm seeing them and I'm watching them, and you're in a position where you don't even have better words to say. but to wish that they should come out, stop whatever evil they are doing, the evil thing that they are doing and destroying the life of this learner or this child, and let the law, justice should prevail, that these people should be brought to book.
Okay, thank you so much. Bomkelebai,
Hello.
in your last remarks, I want you to talk to this boss, a manager somewhere who is working with young people and who takes advantage of his position, because there are people who start work at a tender age, and he's taking advantage of who he is to abuse these young people in his company or at church, a youth worker who works with young people, or a counselor. There are even counselors who abuses their clients when they go there. So what will you tell them? I want you to talk to them as if you're talking to them now. Right
Okay,
now.
what I can tell them today, ngamule ngufwa mwema pedophiles or mwema people are hiding, using your money or using your position. Remember, there's nothing hidden for the rest of your life. There's nothing hidden forever. There's no secret under the sun. Everything that you do behind closed doors, one day it will come out and haunt you, especially if you do negative things. Sexual abuse, asking for sexual favors from your employees. That to me is unheard of, and it's a crime in Zambia. That's sexual harassment in the workplace. It's a crime. You know that, and once there is proper evidence against you, you will be prosecuted and arrested, of course. And the people that are victims, don't keep quiet. You know, sometimes use your gadgets to your advantage. Everyone today has a cell phone. You have technology, is working in our favor. Record. If you can't record the video, record the audio when you are being abused, so that you have enough evidence of what is happening. Even you, the little children, the 14-year-old below, you can also use these gadgets when nobody sees you. You can record when you are being abused. Abusive can be psychological, also can be physical. And especially when it happens sexually, please talk to somebody near you, somebody you trust, or record every little detail that is happening. You can do it and report to the next person, and you'll be okay, because the law protects you, and we will be there for you.
Thank you so much, Bomkelewa. Twalumba maningi, twasanta vingi, ziko mkwambili. Aunty Mutinta, there is this woman in front of you who's got a child, who's been, either this child is in a situation of being, this child has been sexually abused, or it's a situation of sodomy, and it's the father and the uncle who is living with this child. What will you say to this woman? And then secondly, what also would you talk to our leaders, political leaders, traditional leaders, spiritual leaders, all the leaders from all angles? What will you tell them about this issue of sodomy and sexual abuse in our community?
For the lady whose child is being abused, first of all, I would tell her to move out of that house, to find a good reason. If she has enough evidence, I would advise her to take the child to the clinic, and then from the clinic, she goes to the police. And at the victim support unit, I'm sure they can direct her even to NGOs that support women who are found in these situations, because they know that sometimes women stay in these these homes because of financial pressure. So I would hope that should go to a victim support unit, which would refer her to one of the NGOs that would be able to support her. I would also advise her to take her child for counseling. The Pediatric Center of Excellence at UTH, they offer counseling. There's also YWCA, which offers counseling, both for herself, the child who's been abused, and for the mother. Because you see, the trauma is not only for the child. The mother also can start blaming themselves to say, why didn't I see this? Why didn't I do that? It is human nature. And then she must find it within herself to confront the husband or whoever it is who has been abusing the child. It's not very easy. And when I say confront, I'm not talking about direct confrontation. We have traditional structures that she can go to, some relatives that she can trust, family who can talk to her, who can support her, so that she also is able to go through this issue together with her child. But she must separate the child from the father, because otherwise the abuse will continue. To our leaders, whether they are political, they are spiritual, they are in whatever position of leadership, abusing an immature child is immoral. Abusing an immature child is wrong, whichever way you look at it. This is not something that we have done in our culture. We have rites of passage in our culture. So at a certain age, you are allowed to do certain things. But where this thing is now coming from, where we even want to forget about those things, it's not right. We need to be able to uphold our traditions, which do not allow us to abuse our child. We need to help our spirituality. Even the Bible does not allow us to abuse the children. And those are things that as leaders, they should be able to champion. The politicians, the law is there. They should be able to ensure that those who are found should be punished. And in fact, if it were left to me, I would even revoke that thing that allows people to withdraw cases, so that once that case is reported, the whole process must go through, and not that the victim and the family are paid off and then they go and withdraw. So in all aspects, whether it's traditional, whether it is spiritual, whether it is political, legal, we need to uphold our values, our beliefs, and our laws for the betterment of our children. Because once our children have got low self-esteem, they have mental issues, we are not going to develop as a country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists. It has been a privilege, wonderful moment to be with you and just talk about this issue that is really affecting our day-to-day lives. To our viewers, I say thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for your contributions, for your questions. We appreciate you and we will forever be grateful to you. This has been Nsaka, and this is Himba, who's been your co-host with Lance. We make a date with you for next Thursday with another edition and interesting topic of Nsaka. Please join us. Twaisa twashimikako twalanda kwa mali ashi twasekako twalande fintu efe tupitamu muma ubumi wesu. So we thank you so much, and please make a date with us. From me and the team in the studio, it's bye-bye and see you next week.